So, everything you're going to see after this little intro should have been out yesterday, before the race, but when you hit record on your first clip at 2 a.m., and you have two other videos you have to prioritize, and you have work the next day, gonna hit that fan. So I'm settling for my standard upload time for this one, but that shouldn't be the case for future installments of this little series that you're gonna see for the first time once I shut up. When this really should go up is about an hour before the race coverage gets underway. I know there's pre-race stuff and all that, but when the race is scheduled to begin is when you should be able to see it an hour ahead. But I clearly dropped the ball on this one and did not have the video ready before I went to work, which was at the same time as the 500, which made everything a lot harder. But now you get to post-judge this video instead of pre-judge it, which, to be honest, there was a semi-accurate element somewhere in this video. You'll find it out. Alright, enough of me talking, just had to explain that. Hopefully I never have to intro one of these again. This is NR2003 Predicts. Using constantly updating ratings, we determine where Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series drivers will place at any given track any given week. Standard disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only, using the process of automated intelligence, and should not be used in the process of gambling. So here's how it works. We update drivers' ratings week by week as we go throughout the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series schedule. We run a 100% simulation with normal tire wear and fuel consumption. Qualifying results match what the drivers actually ran in real life. Because qualifying data can't be arranged at the same time as forcing cautions, stages will not be enforced throughout these races. And weather used reflects the real-time data based on the actual start time of the race. It's a warm 81 degrees in Daytona. The green flag flies on the Daytona 500 with William Byron and Alex Bowman on the front row. Byron is quick to get up to the top line, try to get in line with his teammate. See if they can start to get a good draft, but unfortunately, Kevin Harvick's already on the bottom line as Byron tucks down there as well, trying to get the blocking done early. It was a Chevy front row with the Hendrick Motorsport teammates, but there were a lot of Fords just behind them, 3 rows deep. Harvick being one of those as he splits up the duo from Hendrick. Now we see Ricky Stenhouse trying to go to the inside as Byron goes low. Harvick tries to fall, finds the gap. And coming off of turn number 4, it's going to be Byron leading lap 1 of the 500. 200 laps in this race, going to be a long one. The second-year driver trying to put up what he can, but it looks like Harvick's going to get to his inside. And that lead's quickly going to dissipate. Here we see Kyle Busch. He started a little bit further back in the field. Had some troubles in the duel. Now he has to make up for it. Being on the inside line is a solid thing for him, but now he's got to start making moves forward. That's a little bit tough here, unless you're going 3 wide. But we know he can be an aggressive driver. Probably going to try to make those moves. And here's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He has a couple wins on restrictor plate racetracks. He could be a contender here today, especially with the way that the Fords have been running. But on his inside now, William Byron, the pole sitter, trying to make his way back up. See if he can fight off Kevin Harvick now at the front. We also see Paul Menard up here. He's running 3rd place. He had a good dual race, and he also ran really well when they were doing the Clash. Almost had that one locked up, but circumstances just took him out of it. A little incident here in turn 3 between teammates. BJ McLeod tried to squeeze into the gap in front of his teammate Cody Ware. Misjudged it. 51 goes up into the wall. Takes a pretty gnarly hit, but no caution flag thrown. 52 gets out and away. 51's going to have to come down to the pits. Going to lose a lap trying to repair that car. Here we see Ryan Preece. He's starting to slowly make his way up here. He's got a couple wins down in the Xfinity Series. Making his, not his Cup debut because he ran a few races back in the day. But this is going to be considered his rookie season. And he's definitely trying to push himself up there as soon as possible. You also see Matt DiBenedetto. A big break for him this season. Back in the Gibbs camp. Obviously with Levine Family Racing, but that is with an alliance with JGR. And Jamie McMurray, this could be possibly his last Cup race. Not entirely sure, but obviously he's not going to be returning to Chip Ganassi Racing for 2019 in a full capacity, running with Spire Motorsports, renumbered to the number 40. Obviously that team is in alliance with CGR, almost acting like a third car for the team. We also have Casey Mears out here. He raced his way in on qualifying speed. Didn't even have to worry about the duels. But because he wasn't the top open car, he had to start in the back of the field. Still trying to make his way up, but obviously it's working out. Still in the pack. Starting to lose the pack, though, is Tyler Reddick. A little bit surprising, considering he was the Xfinity winner here at this racetrack just a year ago. You'd think he'd be getting a little bit more aggressive, especially because this is going to be his, at the moment, one and only Cup start. I want to take advantage of it soon. We see William Byron got back to the lead, but BJ McLeod, as they try to get by him for a second lap, was not too courteous making the move. Kind of swapped lanes at the last moment. Blocked up this entire field, but no one's got a breakaway at the moment. 24 is going to make his way by. Meanwhile, Matt DiBenedetto, though, he has something to say about this lead, and he's looking for it. He's got the position in turn number 4. He's going to lead a lap in the Great American Race, it looks like. He is able to clear the 24. So 95 heads to the point. Still plenty of racing left to go. I imagine this isn't the view that Chase Elliott wants at this point in the race. Really far back, he's here with Ryan Blaney. It's going to be a lot of work left to do. You can see the front of that pack way up there. Meanwhile, Hendrick teammate Alex Bowman, who started on the outside pole, he's still running pretty decent. He's about mid-pack on the inside line, trying to see if he can make up some of that ground again. Drivers that were surprised are a little bit further back. How about Clint Boyer? That outside line actually has a few names like Kyle Busch, and there's Chase Elliott, Ryan Newman, Brad Keselowski. All guys you expect to be up front at a restrictor plate, or at least in contention. These guys are not in contention at the moment. Meanwhile, Martin Truex Jr. has found his way to the front. It looks like he's got a competitor, Paul Menard, trying to make his way to the inside line. Joey Logano down there to help. Wood Brothers Racing in an alliance with Team Penske. Talked about how Menard had that missed opportunity at the Clash. Trying to see if he can go for the lead, but it looks like it's going to come up a little short. Trying to pass up the 19 out of turn 4. How about a surprise right now? Corey LaJoie, one of the most unique paint schemes we can say in the field. He's making his way up here into a top 10 position at the moment. Not exactly what you expect out of that 32 count, but at a super speedway, anything is possible. And now we see Joey Logano makes a bonsai move into turn 1, gets by the number 19. And a really testy moment right here as Kevin Harvick got a little too high, got into Ryan Newman, and then slid back up the racetrack after he had his little slide onto the apron. That could have created a big crash, but veteran move right there as Harvick avoids disaster. And now we're seeing right here, here comes Corey LaJoie on the bottom line, getting the draft from Truex Jr. and McMurray, Eric Jones among them. And LaJoie's headed into the front of the field. And it looks like Truex Jr. is almost trying to go for it again, but he's actually coming down for pit stops. Harvick made a little bit of a late move there at third car in line. Wallace Jr. is also coming in. I think Chris Buescher was in the back. Oh, but there's a problem on the racetrack, and it's for Matt DiBenedetto. He's got a mechanical failure. I don't believe that's a gas issue because there are still guys out here with the exact same amount of gas, and they are not out yet. And here's a bit of a peculiar moment. William Byron, he could really just go out of his pit stall straight, but said he jerks over and then gets hit by the number 1 car of Kurt Busch. So the pole sitter now could have some troubles as he's been made contact with, and that can really hurt his race car on super speedways. But how about what it looks like after pit stops? Corey LaJoie and Joey Logano have taken off in the rest of the field. That's Paul Menard and Jamie McMurray just in the background. They're still within eye shot, but beyond that, there is no one. Meanwhile, Ryan Preece, he was having a solid run, but a long pit stop's going to cost him as he has no friends in sight. He's going to be the first car a lap down when the field catches him. And based on those 2-car drafts, they're going to go a lot faster than him on a single-car run. And Kyle Busch is still having problems, even after pit stops, but he's not the only one. There are 3 SHR cars back here. Kevin Harvick, Clint Bowyer, Daniel Suarez, Denny Hamlin's also a part of this group as well. Just a lot of heavy contenders seeming to not have any luck here on the Super Speedway. And we see that Paul Menard, he was working with Jamie McMurray, but it looks like suddenly the 40 car might have lost something there. Had to let go of the throttle, lost a little bit of time, hoping he can keep up with that pack. Meanwhile, this is really what you'd call the chase group. This is the main pack that sits behind both of these 2-car groups. Although it did look like they were about to get squared up, but at the moment, this is one of the bigger packs on the racetrack. And Austin Dillon, defending 500 champion, is not going to be able to repeat his title. He has an engine going down. He takes it to the apron. He is barely hanging on to that thing. But something's definitely blown up in there. And 3-car is not going to be back to victory lane here at Daytona, at least not today. And you can see just the impact that that contact had for William Byron. He is definitely slower than the rest of the field. He has lost the draft, and that's not going to help him out any going forward. You know, Corey LaJoie still out front. These 4 guys are kind of shuffling around where they're running. But when they get out of the draft, they lose some speed. And that's allowing the cars behind them to get a little closer. Ryan Preece, he finally got caught up to by this group right here. So you can see the 21 made a move inside. And now they're going to catch up to the 95. He also is back on the racetrack, still running despite that mechanical issue, but he's going to go a lap down. Chances for winning this event probably not going to be too well. And they're both going to stay in this group as they're both competitive enough on speed to run. But William Byron, who's clearly going a little bit slower thanks to his damage, is going to hold them up a little bit. They'll try to make their way around him as quickly as possible. As you can see, Brendan Gaughan is already taking advantage of the 24's misfortune as he tries to make his way back up into that pack. Unfortunately, though, they are getting close to pit stops. So really, this entire charge is not going to do much except for trying to gain back a little bit of time. As you can see, Eric Jones has gotten back into this pack as well. But just a lap later, we got Wallace and Hemrick coming down for pit stops. Based on how they're splitting this race up, I think they can make it in 5 stops. And meanwhile, William Byron, a little bit of a rookie mistake, even if he isn't a rookie anymore. Didn't see the field stacking up, almost drove straight into him, just barely hit the brakes in time. And then after that cycle of pit stops, it's a completely different and maybe even more crazy front pack. 3 drivers now, but they're Corey LaJoie, David Reagan, and Brendan Gaughan. Drivers you expect to win day in and day out are not in this pack at all. Granted, we are just eclipsing 70 laps, but this could be an upset winner's chance. We see Joey Logano back here. Looks like the pack kind of reformed. Just so happens that those 3 guys out in front definitely had a great stop and were able to get out way ahead of the others. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick back here, we mentioned that Kyle Busch was having his struggles. Harvick's having those as well. He's got a teammate in Daniel Suarez. Meanwhile, his other 2 partners are up here in this pack, led by Casey Mears. Looks like this group has fallen out of contention, at least at the moment, so long as we don't have a caution. But the fact that Mears is leading the pack in a second Germain car, very little funding going into this one. He's having a great run for it anyway. And David Reagan has appeared to lose the pack. lost the draft of Brendan Gaughan and Corey LaJoie, both of whom had now caught up to Kurt Busch and BJ McLeod. Busch was the other car involved in that incident with William Byron, so no surprise that he's slow as well. You see Reagan is now blended back into this main pack. That's a little bit behind the leaders. That's about 3 seconds at this point. They're going to start nipping at it, especially because the two front runners have reached William Byron, and he is kind of holding them up once again. Look at the name that's leading the pack right now, Jimmie Johnson. Haven't mentioned him at all today. He's got a new crew chief, a new sponsor, and running in the third place at the moment is a great run for him. And he is going to take it a little bit further because they have caught back up to the lead group. And with some help from Eric Jones, Johnson's going to look for the point, but it looks like actually Eric Jones trying to make it 3 wide heading into turn number 3. That's a little bit of a unstable situation there. Speaking of unstable, Daniel Suarez almost got into Jamie McMurray as he tried to avoid Kurt Busch going to pit lane. Luckily, it wasn't as dramatic as Kevin Harvick's incident, but it looks like they are going to come back down for pit stops here at about the halfway point of the race. You see that tandem right there, LaJoie and Gaughan. They ran well together, and now they're pitting together, trying to get the draft back. As strategy's kind of taken over here. A lot of drivers going on different laps. And obviously you want to be with somebody when you head down because you want to be drafting with somebody when you come back off. Seems like Byron's having some problems with the brakes overall because he almost ran into Landon Castle there entering pit lane, but I guess it's not all his fault because it looks like Ryan Newman did run into Ryan Preece. Just a little cosmetic damage probably. But Jimmie Johnson got a great stop, and he's going to run up on Ryan Newman and take the lead. So Corey LaJoie and Brendan Gaughan not able to maintain that dominance that they had early on in the race. As now it seems like it's going to Jimmie Johnson and Ryan Newman. You see Ryan Blaney back here now working with Brad Keselowski as they try to form up and see if they can get something going. Looking back here on the mid-pack, how about this? Cody Ware in that 52 car. Rick Ware Racing team's got a charter. They're going to make every race, but you don't expect them to run too well. But they are keeping in this one as they currently run up there near the top 10. And as the two leaders tried to pull away, it was not enough before the rest of the field caught them. Landon Castle coming up from behind. Going to try to make the move to the inside and see if he can lead this one. Going to have a little bit more work to do, though. Daniel Hemrick, a rookie. He's having a great run so far. He made a couple starts last season, but none at Daytona. At least not in the Cup Series. He made a few Xfinity starts here, obviously. And here we go, Landon Castle in the Starcom Racing Machine. He is going for the lead on Jimmie Johnson. And he's got him to the inside. And he's clear. 0-0 to the lead. A little bit past halfway in this Daytona 500. And as we get a little bit further into it, we've got some more green flag pit stops. No caution so far. A couple incidents, but nothing that necessitated a caution. As you see, Corey LaJoie starting to make his way back up through the field. Trying to get a push from Eric Jones. Obviously not too happy that he didn't maintain his form and get back to the lead. But Eric Jones is kind of the guy that's really stretching his tank. He's the one that seems to stay out the longest every single time. He will eventually come down for a pit stop, and he's going to try to merge back up with the field. And it looks like this time he's going to get it. So with about 60 laps left in the Daytona 500, it looks like there's a pack forming once again. And this time it's not really much of a breakaway. Seems like anyone that's trying to be a winner at the end of this one is staying in this. And Joey Logano, who seemed like he could have been a winner earlier on in the race, well, he's fallen back a little bit of ways. He's back there with 17 and the 42. Both those guys we'd seen at Well, I guess Ricky Stenhouse we've seen at the front, but not so much of Larson. Erik Jones making a move on Ryan Preece. And Jimmy Johnson, who was up there trying to be that guy that led the field back up to the leaders, well, suddenly he's a little bit further back himself. And not in the front pack, but at least able to get some drafting help. And David Reagan, once again, having some kind of issues with this aero package, just trying to stay in the draft. Seems to be a difficulty for him. Looks like he might stay on the tail end of it, at least for now, but he's going to have to do a little bit more work if he wants to keep himself in contention, because he's got to stay within a draft. Meanwhile, in another group, we've got our fastest 2 open cars in qualifying leading this group. I don't think this is really the group that's going to be in contention at the end of this race, but at least props to them. Guys like Tyler Reddick, who we saw at the back of the field at parts of this race, as well as Casey Mears, who's a little bit underfunded in that second Germain Racing machine. And now we're going to see drivers are coming down for their what could be their final pit stops. Strategies are varying, but within the fuel window, I think that they can all make it to the end based on this set of gas. And as Erik Jones pulls off, it's Ryan Newman who got a really good jump. Ryan Preece is a lap down, and he's helping push the 6 to the lead. But Ryan Newman's going to run into some problems as he's going to hit up with BJ McLeod. And obviously, McLeod is a little bit slower. He can stay in a competitive speed, but he also got a little bit of damage from hitting the wall based on contact with his teammate. Speaking of teammates, 52 is coming up pretty quickly. As McLeod's fading a little bit further back in the field. We're probably hoping that he can stay up there and try to help him as a drafting partner, but I think McLeod's going to need a little bit more speed than that. Paul Menard, someone we thought was going to be in contention at the end of this one, looks like he's dropped back to this pack that Casey Mears is in. While Ryan Preece is just kind of hanging around here. He's not in contention anymore. He's lapped down. At this point, he's just going to affect the outcome, if anything. At the same time, still a learning opportunity to try to learn the draft, see what these cars can do. Meanwhile, I think BJ McLeod just came off of pit lane. I think because of his damage, he had to make an off-schedule pit stop, which means he just came down for tires and fuel, and I think he just might have held up that inside line. But we mentioned, here's his teammate Cody Ware in the 52, and he's running third in the Daytona 500, just behind Ryan Newman and Landon Castle. And it looks like it's going to be a 3-wide situation going into turn 1. Brendan Gaughan and Parker Kligerman forcing the issue. We haven't talked about Kligerman all day, but here he is, and he's in contention just as much as the rest of these guys right here. But as soon as Gaughan takes the lead, Newman's going to want to take it back, and that he does. Forceful cut to the inside. And he's going to put the block on everybody as he tries to fend off the driver who technically took Newman's ride. Newman, a former driver of RCR, but Daniel Hemrick is now up there, driving the number 8, which is a renumber from the 31, which is obviously being driven by Tyler Reddick for one race. And Hemrick just going to find his way to the point, but never doubt Newman. Laid into the corner, he makes the move, gets back around him, keeping himself in contention here. And the laps are winding down, so he needs to stay up front. And coming off of turn number 4, we're going to see the white flag here. Corey LaJoie looking low. He stayed in this field all race long. He's had plenty of opportunities to lead it, possibly dominate, but there are drivers here that want to keep him out of victory lane. Ryan Newman being one of those. It's been a while since he won a race. For some of the guys behind him, they've never won a race. And there's a lot of them there. You just look at some of the names back there. You got Brendan Gaughan, 62. Daniel Hemrick in the 8. And LaJoie going into turn 3, going to look low. Could this be the winning move for the Daytona 500? Coming off at turn number 4, and LaJoie can't make it stick. Newman powers back to the outside. And it's going to be victory for the number 6 of Ryan Newman. And he's won a Daytona 500 before, but now you got to make it 2. We talked about the struggles that Stewart-Haas Racing was having, but in the end, it was still Ford Power that took home the victory as Ryan Newman heads to Daytona victory lane for the second time in his career. Eric Jones just barely nudged out Corey LaJoie for second place. Daniel Hemrick comes up with a top 5. Landon Castle, Cody Ware, Parker Kligerman, all with top 10 runs here in this lead pack. Also some respectable runs for Tyler Reddick and Casey Mears, both finishing in the top 15. Jamie McMurray will take his final planned Daytona 500 to an 18th place finish. Joey Logano and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., drivers that started so well, end up here in the 20s. You also got Alex Bowman and Kevin Harvick. Started 2-3, finished 29-30. Pole sitter William Byron with the problems, ending up in 38th place, 2 laps down. Kyle Busch just never had an answer. Started 31st, and that's where he finished. And defending 500 champion Austin Dillon is no more as he blew an engine. That's going to wrap things up for NR2003 Predicts. We will see how these results stack up with the actual ones. Make sure to tune into the race, and we'll see you next time.